call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, item 4, informational and discussion, or no, I don't know. Yeah, topics.
We've got a couple different parties that have some interest in doing something with the middle school and the middle school gym. That thought it'd be good to have an opportunity for them to share a little information with the board. So we'd like to give each one of them about 20 minutes to share, and then we'll have Sam give a report on building. So since you've got everything up here, Nate Adams. Want to go ahead?
Sure. Good evening.
Hi,
Nice to meet you all.
have you met us all?
I haven't.
You're from where, Nate?
I live in Des Moines,
Okay,
Waukee, side of the town. And as background, I got introduced to this, well, I'm from Carroll originally, outside of Breda. And got connected to this project through the Rigler family. John and I are business associates, kind of work together in the Des Moines area. Full-time job, I work for Principal Real Estate Investors downtown Des Moines. I'm an investment director with them. I manage the southeast portion of the U.S. for our real estate owned assets of the pensions and 401k business. I've been there.
What's that?
So I'm not sure if we're presenting. I apologize for interrupting. On the screen.
What do we need to hit?
You
I just have to present the screen. Sorry, I didn't think that went through. You jump down to the RAM logo there in the center. And then there you go. Got it. Click on the screen. Then it share.
There we go.
Perfect. Sorry about that. Thank you.
That's okay.
Interrupted everyone.
You might share who John Riddler is. I don't know.
Mike's here.
Yeah, John Rigler's family bought People's Bank. And so they have, I think, 4 locations here in Guthrie County, or Greene County, sorry. And so I came here first 2 years ago. I manage about 3,000 apartments currently for Principal, both existing and developed. And John knew that, and so he says, hey, there's a really interesting project called the middle school. You should come to put your eyes on it and let us know what you think. There's a lot of really great things going on with Jefferson. And what started out as an initial visit has turned into 2 years and several hours. That has been just more of a personal passion for me than anything that is truly business related, as you can imagine with historic buildings, which we're going to be talking about. They're not easy, they're complicated, they're very administrative. But here we are today, and have been getting to know the City of Jefferson, Greene County Development Corp, Tim, and the school district, the school, et cetera. It's been a great community to work with. You guys have a lot of really, really cool things going on here. It's something to be really proud of. So what I will go through as a presentation here is, and I'll talk on each slide, but this is the primary motive of this conversation is converting the middle school into 25 apartments, a mixture of studio, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. The building was originally constructed in 1920, so it is a historic renovation back to the 1920 Desile style. So from the exterior of the building, et cetera. On the interior side, we're modeling. I have some inspirational photos in here. A Art Deco theme, which was kind of a 1920s vintage kind of build out. And I'll be flipping through this, but I brought copies for you guys. So as I scroll through here, here's the current layout. Vision 2020, which was a study that GCDC put on, assessed all the public needs for Jefferson and Greene County, and this was kind of one of the original pictures that kind of surfaced out there in terms of media. This was a couple years ago, and we've since kind of enhanced that to look something like this. Now, there's a lot in this picture, and I expect to go through all of it, but on the left side of the screen is anticipated middle school, and on the right side is the existing ELC building, which we know is being talked about as potentially moving or taking up the southeast corner of the site. You'll notice in here the big question, and I'm not going to hide from it, is that the gym's not there. And you can see here, there's the plan to remove that. It's important, and I expect some conversation on this, that when we came here first and we met with the city and all the different people at GCDC, et cetera, as board of supervisors, there was us trying to think through how do we repurpose the gym for what use. And we went through a series of wedding venues to flea markets to running sports clubs, et cetera, and layering in kind of the operating opportunity of those uses does not really provide a sustainable use, in my opinion, for that building. And after several more conversations and trying to understand the Vision 2020 plan and what was modeled for what they're calling here the 3-block project, we took a design of creating a kind of an urban park. And there's a couple of factors that are being introduced here that are really important, and I think this is a regional draw for Jefferson and Greene County, is this building right here is anticipated to be somewhat of an amphitheater or some type of pad that could be activated during the day for daytime activities, could be activated at night for live music or summer festivals, et cetera. The idea here is that this street, being Harrison, would be programmed such that you could shut this down on the weekends and you would do a local farmer's market during the summer months. And, as you know, the community center is right here. And so the tying in with this closure and the park, that's kind of fun, that you have the really walkable environment here. This is the trailhead. You guys are the trailhead for Raccoon River Valley Trails. This is the kind of an anticipated area where you're going to be interacting from people coming from out of the state on bikes into this park area downtown and kind of be an entrance into the downtown area. So this is a regional draw. This is something that could be very dramatic from a state standpoint. We've had a conversation, an early meeting with SHPO, which is the State Historic Preservation Office. They are excited about an opportunity like this. They also kind of wanted to understand what we were going to do with the gym or how that was being proposed. And after we walked through them, kind of the history of how we've looked at it and the way we proposed it, their specific comment and feedback was that we'd rather get it right initially and make sure we have a building and a program that's being maintained over time. They've had too many experiences where they've funded a historic renovation, for example, of the gym, and then 5-10 years from down the road, it's not being maintained appropriately. It ends up being more costly, prohibitive, becomes an eyesore to the community, and then they're funding dollars to demo it. So trying to think of things alternatively, I think with the amount of stuff you guys have built here, with the casino, the new high school, the renovations that we had in the middle school, RVP, some of the other space kind of around town, for this population, there's an argument to be made that you're served in a lot of those areas, and there's been a lot of new construction to service those needs. These are some more of the same pictures. The anticipated use, just from a funding standpoint, I think is important to note is that the middle school would be a private partner, private ownership. I'm contemplating to be stepping into that role. Right now, I'm under a development agreement with GCDC to plan out the apartments and also have kind of a voice as part of the master plan. And so that's effectively what we're working on right now. The GCELC is expected to take a portion of that. I know longer term, I'm speaking out of tune on somehow where these efforts are in terms of fundraising. But then that centerpiece park is anticipated to be delivered to the city in pad condition, and then the city would take that over as a park and rec administration. They'd be able to tie it in with the community center, they'd be able to tie it in with the library, et cetera, whatever they wanted to roll into to kind of maximize efficiencies at the city level. Talked about that street. There is some inspirational photos here. I think you can kind of get a feel for the hardscaped areas where that top left picture shows an outside seating area where people could go bring up their folding chairs and listen to live music, hardscape, treescape, et cetera. We also I have a picture of the center there of kind of a splash pad feature that is being talked about either on the parcel with the community center or being integrated into something as part of the park. But we do want to play off of Harrison Street, potentially being a regional draw for kids to be kind of in that area. some more pictures. Here's just a fun picture of the historical school that was originally built in 1920. And then I'm going to breeze through a little bit of this. Glad to talk about it as much as you want, but we have identified schematic drawings at this point of the 3 floors. There's technically 4 floors. There's a lower level, which was the old gym on the back side, on the south side of that. So there's, as you're looking on the top side of the picture, that's south side facing to the ELC, and the other side is the north side. And those are just letters referencing units in terms of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom studio. We have drawn out all those in scale and detail at this point, and are in the process of kind of getting a better baseline budget on the project, so we can kind of finalize our allocation of funds, which we're expecting to do this fall funding season. We're hoping to do this fall funding season. Fun feature, I guess, you're seeing in the middle there, a 2-story unit. So that back unit that has a south-facing one are going to be that yellow portion up here is 2-story open with windows looking out to the south. So I think that's those are going to be some really nice units. The demand we're targeting here is with nicer finishes. So these are going to be nice 36-inch, 42-inch shaker cabinets, granite countertops, updated lighting, modern lighting, nice flooring. Again, more of a mid-century modern kind of Art Deco trend that feels like it's a little industrial, but not really industrial. Warm enough that any age bracket wants to live there. And we're really catering. The most excitement we've gotten from people that have heard this story has been the lock and leave clientele. So somebody that wants to downsize, that doesn't want to mow, doesn't want to shovel snow anymore. They want to be able to lock their door and leave, knowing that there's a management in place to manage that has been kind of the biggest one. But there's a lot of new jobs being talked about for this area, and so you can meet that need. You can meet people that are you looking to start a family, or you can obviously meet the intern or the younger student that's coming in here through Accenture's project, the Forge, or different uses. So we're meeting the most, but the way it's being designed and built out are fairly nice to meet where they're going to meet the most needs. These are a couple of examples we found across central Iowa that have been done previously, just to give you some color schemes and some design. More of a colder black and white palette, more of the browns, a little warmer, a little bit more industrial. Some of the units, like the 2-story ones, do have a staircase, so what we do with that staircase will ultimately be determined. But this is what expectation we pass along to the architect and to everybody else to work on pricing in terms of finishes, allowances, hardware, etc. This is just some more update for where we are. I've already highlighted kind of the Benjamin Design Collaborative, the urban planner that just drew that picture down below there is design workshop. Ironically, that's my brother-in-law. He's based out of Aspen. There's a lot of free goodwill equity being spent on this project. And so anyways, that's who we've worked with at this point to get there. And we're heading here now. This is a step where we're meeting with potential contractors. We're having next step conversations with the city of Jefferson, Greene County, and then further collaboration with the architect. These are where we're going initiatives. So continue to work on those week in and week out. And then I think I'll close out and then open up for comments. But this project, when we met with Steve King, who was with not the congressman, but the SHPO guy who's now left, they're looking for an interim replacement. When we met with them, this was a project that fits a huge rural revival need across the country. Obviously, you've seen Accenture come in here with the Forge, and they truly believe in the momentum that Jefferson has going in all of its ways. This is a continuation of this. This would be a really well done, effective rehab of a historic building. It would be a reuse of the gym that creates a regional impact. This was a comment that there's probably some kind of community attraction and tourism grant money available for this. This is something that gets state recognition, something that has a lot of attention tied to it, and something people could get really excited about. So that's, this being something I'm doing just personally. I'm not a developer by day. This is personally spending my time on this, is to shoot for the stars and hopefully land amongst something that really benefits the community and brings back in revenue, to the city, et cetera, to the area. So, just kind of speaks to that. This is, I don't know, fun quote I found that I added on there a couple times ago. So that is, I'm going to stop there and take questions and see if somebody will. We're at today.
So these are strictly rental units.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't see in the plan elevator incorporated in the design.
There is.
Yeah.
This plan is a little bit dated. We have since incorporated a elevator. One of the best pictures to probably show that is right here on the first floor. So this is the north. This is the entrance here. Am I doing that right? No, it's right here. Sorry. This is the east entrance. This area right here, where the boiler room's at, on the ground floor. And so we're going to have a corner. We're going to be able to put a elevator shaft in this corner here. That'll go vertical up through the building. This area also right here is going to require some ADA access. So with an elevator, we're making sure all units are designed to ADA standards. That corner will have a ramp that curves around that it will be ADA accessible to get to the first floor. Because if you're walking in that east entrance, there's about 4 steps there you have to go up. In the middle of that ramp is going to be storage or a package concierge type system where Amazon comes and drops off the packages in a locker that they develop and provide. And then you go type in a key code and you pick up your box. Or it could be used for bike storage, et cetera. That's going to be programming. And then on the first floor, you have a separate access. Over here, you have a separate drive off of Highway 4, and there's some parking there. So this area right here on the first floor, this is dated. We've now since decided to take out these concrete risers that are all hidden behind the walls. No one's really seen them. Those are being taken out, and we're adding in a common area management office right here on the first floor. So you can have FedEx, UPS drops. That'll be where your future leasing key people can come in. They'll have access to right here, and then we can tour the project from there. Those are the 2 main common areas that we're focusing on. And then here's on the second and third floor, you guys are probably familiar with these. These are where the locker cutouts are, and their current restrooms are back here. Those are historically significant areas that we'll kind of program into part of the common area hallways with the terrazzo and the continuation of the common areas from a historic significance standpoint.
Anybody else have questions?
I guess my question is financing, how far along are you with that? What kind of resources is it going to take to finish this off? What's expected of us as a school board?
Yeah, on the funding piece, I'm a real estate finance undergrad and a finance MBA, so I like the word Excel. And so I've been managing a pro forma now for a while. We have all the sources and uses broken out there, what budget we've been using so far. We're applying federal and state historic tax credits. We're applying some other economic development programs that are out there. There's probably 6 or 7 different uses there. One of them that we're currently vetting right now is called the Home Loan Program, which is a IEDA, Iowa Economic Development Program that offers up some debt to the project at favorable payback terms, but you have to introduce 20% of your units as affordable housing. That's not low income, but it's affordable. And I have those rates from IEDA and what those affordability rates are, and we've counted those in the model at this point as a potential funding source. I have in my head, if a bogey comes in on the construction cost of X number, the project is a go based on how it kind of falls through. It does involve us putting some equity in it at the end of the day as a private investor, so that's contemplated as well. And some conventional debt, based on what we think it could be worth it eventually. The typical understanding, I'm going to speak a little bit out of not knowing where everybody stands on this as a fundraising standpoint, but in order for the city to take over that park area, there would be a responsibility for the city can't take on that property that's off the tax record. So I think that would be a condition that is being talked about, would be talked about with the school board and the school district on demoing the gym and delivering that back. there's just not a potential for me to necessarily take that on, demo it, and then split it off and turn it back, et cetera. So that's kind of the discussion so far on what's expected of you all. I mean, and our cost numbers would be to separately parcel the site, get any rezoning efforts done that change the use from a school to an apartment building. And then working closely with the city on conforming anything that's associated with the gym as part of that. But the city's got to also get involved with the school board, in my opinion, on the GCCSD line designations when that gets separately surveyed and platted. And so I'm aware of all those pieces. I guess I'll close with saying that that's been my voice to this process, is being a community advocate for the bigger project plan, whatever it is. I've been working closely with Chris. Obviously, he's a native here, but his company's offered some MEP design, and got to know a lot of some other local influences here that ultimately I'm going to want to work together with and communicate with, and just be a voice for however you guys want to get this accomplished.
We're about out of time.
2 or 3 more minutes.
Yeah, I got 2 questions. What kind of a time frame are you looking at as far as when you'll have some real strong ideas and or a commitment to do this? Are we talking months or weeks or?
I'm in the months. I feel like I'm personally emotionally there.
Okay.
From that standpoint, but we're working through getting a better budget baseline and confirming kind of our funding sources. We've been in face-to-face meetings with Debbie Durham, IFA, IEDA. So it may involve going back to the table to understand what that looks like, but the construction bids are due September 15th.
Okay.
I am expecting to present to GCDC for their annual dinner, which is at the end of September. And it's going to be a busy time period to understand where all that's at. We have engaged a historic consultant. Will Page is his name, he's part of the team. So as soon as we give him the thumbs up, he can go start applying for all of the administrative part of it. Chris has been a huge resource for me with what he did on the storage side of the Forge. And so we've got MEP, the architect, the historic consultant, all part of the team right now. This, I think, is lining up well with the timeline that I'm understanding from the school board a little bit, is that you're going to need this middle school for some time as the transition takes place, and there's flexibility to whatever that's needed. And then heading into 2021, there's some thought there's got to be some stuff done the first half of the year in terms of figuring that out. But I communicated to the contractors that this would be a construction start date of June 1st of next year. And it would be on the aggressive end, a 7-month build out, and probably more realistically a 9 or 10-month build out, which puts you to leasing in the spring of 2022.
22, yeah. Yeah, so will there be a point where there's a formal, signature or whatever that says you're going to do it, and then we know that it's going to be done? So, because we do have other potential uses, for the site. Obviously, it's going to be presented tonight.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm just unclear as to how that's all going to fall into play. I mean, we got to know that something's going to happen so we can know what we can not do then, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah.
It needs to be a discussion or an action item on a future board.
Yeah, right, yeah, so.
I have a question. So the rumor is that, and I couldn't understand what you were saying, that if the gym is attached to it, you would not be able to get those historical grants. Is that true?
That is true in the sense that the operating model, operating pro forma changes entirely if you have to do something with that gym. And I have not been contemplating that.
Yeah.
So, because technically that gym is really just attached to your building or the building that you'd like by the one hallway. If you didn't have it attached anymore, then it would be 2 separate buildings.
Correct.
Then it wouldn't affect you anymore.
Correct.
But would it affect your project from a operational, aesthetic standpoint, or?
Nope. It would affect the views,
Yeah,
if you wanted to think of it that way, from the south units. But all the electrical for both the middle school and the gym comes in into the middle school. So when you do separate that, we're,
Yeah.
you know, that boiler system in that middle school is so old. I mean, all that's gotta be gutted.
Yeah.
Everything's gotta be refabricated, et cetera. So when you do that, you're gonna sever that utility connection. And so whoever takes on that gym would be responsible for setting it
Right.
up from a utility standpoint, et cetera. And
But
I don't know, Tim, you were gonna look into some of that stuff.
I just asked OPN, they're talking about $35 a square foot, so you're talking 350,000.
For the gym and then,
For the gym, yeah, for heating and air conditioning.
so from your perspective though, Nate, if there was an alternative use for that gym and we had a plan for that was completely separate from your building, if they were physically separated, you know, as far as all the infrastructure and utilities go, do you have a problem with that gym staying there?
Not necessarily.
Okay,
I don't wanna be 100% in either
camp,
camp.
you're open to it,
I'm open to it, I don't like it.
yeah.
To be honest. And I think if you're gonna create a really, really strong regional impact, you really have to determine what the future of that school is. I mean, when we were doing our initial understanding of it, of the gym, if it's 350,000 for HVAC, the roof on that is 13 to 15 years old. Over the 5 to 7 year period, you're gonna have to replace that at probably 200,000. In order to separate that gym and operate as its own facility, that's its own code, there's gonna be ADA, potentially code implications that are needed to get that building up to code. That's probably 50 to 100,000. If any of the bathrooms existing need to be reconfigured,
Yeah.
there's fire life safety issues. So I was penciling out roughly 750,000 amongst everything over a 5 to 7 year period to continue to own and maintain that gym. I couldn't figure out, I mean, there's probably federal money to build more apartments in that gym, but then you're getting to a point where you've got 45, 50 apartment units that are gonna be low income type of housing categorized that is gonna, you know, potentially not add any value. The gym was built 30 years after the high school, so it's got the different color brick that, you know, aesthetically it doesn't fit as well.
Well, and the other consideration is the city's 3-block plan, you know? I mean, so, yeah, there's a lot of things to consider.
Cut it off, but probably-
Yeah, we better.
Question right here.
Just layman's terms here with all your acronyms.
Yeah,
all your
sorry.
Funding, at the end of the day, who owns that building?
I do,
You do.
yes.
Okay.
For a long time.
because you'll
These,
be paying for it for long.
these historic, you know, a lot of these formulas on the historic buildings go out to at least 15 years. So this isn't something that I can come in and flip. I'm not a developer by flipping. This is something that I'm from Carroll, still making home. This is something that is me as a 37-year-old that went off to Des Moines, is an opportunity to give back to these small towns. I mean, it's truly a lot of fun doing business here. The people have been great. It's a completely different pace than what my normal life is, so I've enjoyed it.
But could you envision, just think about a multi-purpose facility the size of a gymnasium, hardwood floor, acoustics, that is multi-purpose, that could be used by anybody. You know, I mean, that gym's been used from everything from weddings to funerals to tournaments to wrestling to basketball to, I mean, just saying. It would be difficult to replace it if you needed it.
That I could definitely understand the sentimental value of the community
No,
behind
not
it,
saying-
but I'm not paying
saying-
for that scenario. That scenario that you want and that you're dreaming of, I'm not paying for it. And
Okay.
that's pretty, there's not enough income to tie to you wanna have all those creative uses and you wanna have your book shows and your crafts, you know, things, but folks don't wanna pay membership fees for that. The rental fees aren't there. It's just hard to substantiate that kind of capital investment.
Yeah, we better get to the next thing. Thanks, Nate, a
Yeah,
lot.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'll be around. I'm
Interesting.
glad to be.
Interesting proposal, so thank you.
Stop sharing, is that?
Yep.
What I gotta do, or is there something else I gotta do?
Now click back to this. There you go.
So Nate, if you own this building at the end of the day, how much does lunch cost? How much, what's the financial consideration for you buying that building? From the school, how much would the school district get from your purchase of the building?
To be determined.
Nothing that we've
But-
discussed.
I think it's,
Discussed it all, right? Wow.
And it's one of those too that demolition would be a factor too. I mean, there's lots of things. that-
Well, we know what demo costs,
Yeah.
we've done it a bunch.
I don't mean to continue about, take the time, but the thought is that when you look at historic buildings and what it's gonna cost to build this, it costs way more than what the project's worth at the end of the day, hence all the historic significance and the funding of it. It also doesn't make economic sense to tear down everything and build back brand new either. That would be more wood construction, kind of vinyl siding look. Those economics don't make sense. So to use the historic programming in that funding program, it unfortunately is still a solution where I've spent a lot of time and energy creating a plan and a vision, but it's still not something that everyone's making out extremely well on to say that we are paying an exorbitant amount for the school. I mean, this is still anticipated to be a problem that's being taken off the community's hands with a strategy and vision to go forward.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Sure.
I coach you.
Maybe you did. Yeah. Or some of my siblings. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's like, I just swear I know that name. I used to coach freshman basketball at Kemper way back in the day.
He's nice and tall.
Coach Yoder.
Oh, well, you definitely did.
Yeah.
Coach was my coach. Yoder was my coach.
Yep, so, all right, well, my name's Jeremy Hino. I live here in town. About 3 years ago, I started a program called Play for Him Academy. It's a youth organization that I kind of took it on more as something that kills some time in the winter, and it has really blossomed into a full-fledged, full-time job for me. Right now in the spring, I currently have 16 basketball teams, and then we also have 4 to 5 volleyball teams right now. That's just kind of started in the last year. We have roughly that play on teams that right around 140 to 150 kids. That's just on the basketball teams, and we also have a side where we work with kids just on an individual basis. I'm in small groups. I use Scranton primarily for everything that we do. I have been in contact and worked with some people out of Carroll looking at possibly building a building in Carroll. And that's just the finance of it at the end of the day. It just didn't make sense for me to build a brand new building and put my company in jeopardy with that. So we've just been renting the Scranton gym and renting others like Pomeroy and buildings in Carroll, just to run practices and things like that. And we just kind of been going that route. Well, then, when the school was being built out there, I just was kind of keeping my ears open as to what you guys were thinking about with this building. And I was in an assumption at the beginning that you guys were going to use it for something. And then when I heard there was actually talk about it being taken away, I was like, well, wait a second here. I mean, there's something I know for me personally that we could do something with it. And so I guess what I want to talk to you guys about, I don't have all the pictures and things like that. I don't have a huge project like that. It's just, I mean, my main aspect right now is the gymnasium and what we could do with it. I'm just going to give you some things from a benefit from a community standpoint, the revenue that it could bring into the community. I'll just use an example, a tournament that I run tournaments every year, but last year I ran one called the Caden Classic out of Carroll. Just kind of give you some numbers. We had 38 teams that played in that tournament, and I just figured we had an average of about 8 kids per team that were there. And then if you take each kid has 2 parents, let's say, that show up for the weekend, that's right, you're looking at about, between the kids and the parents, you're looking at 900 extra people in your community that weekend that are eating at your restaurants, going to your local stores and businesses. Some might go to the casino, things like that. And when I have a site that I can call mine, we could run more tournaments like that. Right now I have to count on what buildings are available.
from schools or rec centers and things like that. So I have to kind of do it in that regard. But if I have a place where I can, and everybody knows that Playground Academy is in that site, we can run more tournaments and get more people coming to the community. I figured probably 2 tournaments of basketball a month and then 1 volleyball a month would come into town. And then I've even reached out, I haven't gotten a hold of them yet, but the new wrestling AA program that's in town, the weeks that we're not in there, maybe they want to use it for a wrestling tournament to bring in more people. So really there's potential 5 to 6 months a year to having multiple weekends where you have a lot of people coming into town to do things. That's from the revenue standpoint. As far as like for the kids in the community, this would give them, it's a place where it's 100% commitment to having programs to get kids involved in doing other things. That is strictly, that's what we focus on. So there's a lot of marketing that goes into trying to get kids out of their homes and getting them into buildings and working with them on not just, my expertise obviously is basketball, but it's more than that. We work with kids on how to be respectful, how to be faithful, and how to stay humble. Like we use basketball to get to those kids. And so, right now I have 84 school districts of kids that are represented in our academy right now. And I can just for today, I'll be as far as people coming into our community. Today alone, right now I got people in the rec center right now. I got 7 different communities in our town at the rec center practicing. And I've had that this morning, I had that again, and then I've had 4 hours of workouts with different kids from different communities. The problem is we're not getting a lot from Jefferson. And I think that's because we just don't have a place where we can say, they can identify like, yep, that's where we can get basketball, or that's where we can get, that's where they get the wrestling AU now. I hope that's where they get wrestling. We got a lot of low income people in our communities that can't drive to Ames or can't drive to Des Moines and afford those large AAU prices. And if they have something that's local that, wants them in the community and wants to help them, I think you might see some more opportunities where kids will pop up and we can get them out of their homes and get them doing some things from a recreational standpoint and learning how to work on some of those characteristics. So that's on the kids side of things. Things that I would like to do with the building itself. Obviously, we have the basketball court, but up at the top level where we have, the cement slab, those bleachers pulled back. I'd like to put some batting cages up in there, and then also put 2 more basketball hoops up there so that when we're having practice down below, if there's kids that are wanting to do some small group stuff and just do some training, that's the thing is people sometimes in AAU think that we're just AAU teams and we're not. That's just a part of what we do. For those kids that may not be skilled enough to do that or that's too intimidating, we have other places for them to work on things and get better, and that's in the individual training. And so that's where I would use that upper slab also for small group individual training up on top. And then also at the end where the band room is, I'd like to put that into more of a weight room, weight training area as well. I'm gonna be honest, I don't care about, I would like to work with somebody like Mr. Adams on maybe being able to do a thing with that portion of it and the gym, because there's a lot of people coming in to town with those things that, maybe we work together to benefit everybody. But I'm really just mostly focused on the gymnasium. I would take it on as a separate entity. That was a question that I know you presented to me is, I would take care of the upkeep and things like that. There's a lot of, with youth organization stuff, there's a lot of opportunities out there for some grants and things like that too. I would like to see, I feel being part of this town and watching how you guys went through the whole bond issue of the school, and one of the big things was, well, we needed another gym. And we needed another competitive gym. That was like a big push for a lot of people as to how that school got built. And when I heard that was an idea that we might tear our best competitive gym down without any way, it just didn't sit well with me. And I was like, well, I could use it. And it'd be a lot easier for me to take on something like that than to go spend $2 million building a brand new facility in another town. When I could bring the revenue, I'm from Jefferson, I'd like to bring it to this town, not take it out of this town. So like, I'll give you, when we did the game classic, I went to a couple restaurants that weren't there and asked them about because I used to run restaurants for 20 years. So I'm just curious as to what their sales increases were for that weekend. And Jimmy John's was up over 55% sales for that weekend from the game classic. I mean, and that was strictly, I mean, they were just bombarded. And we would do that multiple weeks a month, bringing that into town. And I mean, youth sports is a growing industry. It's not going away. And it's growing, and I mean, I know lots of places where they've built a facility and all of a sudden hotels are being built all around it, and because they were full every weekend with tournaments. And I think Jefferson has the potential with a casino in town and other things that they have other things they can do while they're waiting for their teams to play, and could become a very good and very reliable way of bringing in business and more pride into our community, so.
Jeremy, are you talking about an operating model where you take over the ownership of the building, or your group does, or?
Yeah,
you're
that's
just
something
gonna-
I'd like to say. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't expect you guys to help me with the upkeep of it or things like that. I would take it on. We'd have to talk, we've not really talked about the financial side of it, of what you guys are wanting for the building. I'm just providing opportunities like this, something that we can use it for, and we can talk about that portion of it, as far as what you want with money taking hands and things like that.
But, I don't know, anybody else have any questions?
So I guess back to the finances, have you looked into doing financing for the HVAC and update?
I haven't, I'm like, literally, this came to me like, I thought, I have not done it yet, the cost of that, no. But I do know, like I said, there are, in the youth side of things, there are, they like to help out people out of youth organizations with grants and things like that, where if I needed to take on, I would apply for some of those things to help put an HVAC, but just like this grant did with their gym, but HVAC unit and things like that in there, so. I've not done that yet.
Yeah, I guess, my question is, what's the operating model gonna look like moving forward if we, if the school decides to keep the gym and allow somebody else to operate it, I guess.
Just to be honest, what I talked to Jeremy about is the school would not, we would transfer ownership
Yeah.
to whoever.
Okay.
It would not be our responsibility. I don't think it's fair to put us in that situation. So it would be, again, if that's what happened, it would be transferred.
We're not a landlord.
Correct. Correct.
We're not what?
We're not a landlord.
No, I don't think we wanna own it,
Yeah.
but I think we also wanna make sure that it's gonna be, have a long-term, assured, usage for the building if we're gonna, enter into some kind of a.
Yeah, I'm like I said, this is all I do now, and it's just, I'm maxed out as far as, the reason why I'm looking for, because I'm literally maxed out with, and I could add more, that's just one more gym for us to be able to use it. And like I said, sports, whether it's volleyball, wrestling, basketball, softball, it's not going away. I mean, it's just getting bigger. And so this is all I do.
Yeah,
And so it's gonna be on for a long time.
so the operating entity would be
We play for
your company, yeah, okay. Any other?
We're an LLC.
Any other partners or anybody else involved in
No, I
that
just have
then?
myself.
Okay, that's, just a question.
Are you concerned about taking away possibly some numbers from the Parks and Rec stuff with basketball and volleyball that they do over there, if you were to locate here?
No, they've reached out to me because I've done a lot of stuff through their gym right now using, and they're actually excited about me having this conversation because it gives them another gym to be able to do some of their tournaments out of and things like that. And that's part of it too, like, by keeping the gym, it gives you guys some flexibility too from, you get in a jam with cancellations, things like that. All of a sudden you're like, I need another gym to have some more games in. We can talk and be able to still have a place for you guys for those situations that you get in the gym with. And, I've already, like I said, talked to the rec center and they were excited about the idea of maybe being able to keep the gym, of course, so they can have more tournaments. And at the end of the day, they can have their programs and we have our programs and kids can still decide what they want to do. I mean, and it's not I think it's actually my hope would be that it might build some interest, so more kids will go to the rec center activities on top of what we're doing, so. And we would work with the rec center to have some of the same programs together, so, and work that way, so yeah, they've already talked to me about that.
I guess my biggest concern would be the finance part of it. Realistically, it's probably gonna look at $1 million to do something. And by the time we get it disconnected, you take ownership, make it something that's usable for you, probably gonna be pushing $1 million. And I don't know what it costs to.
That wouldn't be the school district's expense.
No, I know,
No, yeah,
that's his
yeah,
expense,
right.
so we gotta
Yeah.
make sure that.
And that's the things that we'd have to, like I said, I've got very informal conversations, and so I haven't seen anything, it's like, what that cost and things like that is. I would just come to you guys with what I could do with the building, and, let you know there's opportunities that I could bring a lot of business to the community.
The other big long-term thing is the tax and just basic monthly utility. What it costs to heat and cool, something like that. Because I know what our stuff is, but ours is all kind of wrapped up in one huge building here. Just
Yeah.
for thought, I mean, stuff that obviously you have to consider, so we can.
So are you planning on developing more of a business model and business plan for this proposal then, or?
I can give you the same one I gave to the, people over in Carroll. I was working with Matt Wendell over in Carroll and a couple other investors, and, at the end of the day, by the time we had to put a parking lot in, and all the cement's expensive and all that, and then the return investment that they were wanting at the time, I just didn't, I mean, it was more of a luxury than a need to me, and I wasn't gonna take a chance of going broke over a loan that, I mean, it's like, I'm glad we didn't have it happen. Actually, we were supposed to open up in June of this year, and COVID happened, and boom, what do you do? You know, so, I mean.
And what about the city? Have you run this by the city or talked to them? I mean, because again, they've got this kind of a master plan for this 3-block area, and I don't know that much about it, but.
But in the end, we make the decision on this property. The city doesn't own this property, we do, as a school. So it comes to here first.
No, I know that.
I know, I'm just letting you know that, I mean, we have to okay it first, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, this would be the first ball.
I mean, I guess I don't, the only people I knew to talk to was, because you guys, I don't even know who else is involved in that decision process on whatever other committees they are and this and that. I just was proposing, came to you guys first, let you know what it is that I do and what I can do with the building and what we can do with the kids in the community and what we can bring in for revenue for the other businesses that are in town and the potential that is there. If you want to know, if you just want to just go to any AAU, anything, and look around and see all the people that are there. And it's crazy, the amount of people that are, even right now with the COVID, I'm ready to go down to Des Moines tomorrow for a tournament that's got 211 high school girls teams in it, down in Des Moines, even during COVID. I mean, so there's all that potential, so.
All right.
I guess that's my question for you. I mean, is that something you like, Jeremy, I mean, as a board, to put together I guess a
I think we
business
need
finance
that.
plan in order to see
I think we need that.
what you see as the viability?
Yeah, I think we need that.
Do you have a question, Gary?
Yeah, how many tournaments could you run in this town at the same time?
At the same
Can
time,
you run multiple tournaments at the same time?
you mean on the same weekend?
Like.
Well, you would have you mean like different sports?
No, I mean, like, could you use the gym for rec
Yeah,
center?
yeah, that's what I mean,
gym?
that's where you work with the schools, I mean, that's what I do now, is I rent, like, when I ran the Katy Classic, I rented the rec center, I rented Allisville Elementary, I rented the middle school there, and just ran the tournament through different gyms, and,
So you would run all those at the same time?
Yeah.
So you could potentially run the high school, Scranton, the rec center, and that gym. You could be running 4 tournaments at the same time.
4 courts, it'd be the same tournament, as 4 courts. Yeah.
Oh, so, okay, 4 courts, same tournament.
Well,
You want like a business, like financials, like can you, is that what you're
It's like
saying?
you
John?
want like a revenue type of thing, what we're bringing for revenue and all that, or what are you guys looking for?
I think
Just show
we need
the-
to have a plan for how can you finance it to get it up to level where it's usable? And then is it a profitable thing going down the line? Because we talked about, we don't want you to go broke and then be in a position where we can't do anything to get rid of the gym. Because once we sign this over, then the Historical Society is in charge. If we still own it, we can take the gym down to meet recovery. But once he owns the whole thing, he can't take the gym down. Once you own it, you can't take the middle school down. So somehow, if we're gonna do both, we gotta figure out how to cooperate between the two of you and the city, but we have to have a financial plan for how you take it over. Is there money available to do that? And Nate's done a lot of that work, and it's taken him 3 to 5 years to do that, so it's not an easy undertaking.
I'm curious,
So-
what do you mean he couldn't take the gym down? Like Nate couldn't take the gym down? Say he didn't work out, let's just say.
If it switches hands.
When we own it, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
But once we turn it over to somebody else, then the historical people get involved. And they can say, you can't take this down. So the overpass out there, that old building got designated historically, and it cost us $1 million more to put the overpass in. So those are the kind of things you have to be careful about going into it.
Well, and the reason I asked about the city was we want the best plan moving forward for the whole community. You know, we want this to be however this project ends up being, you know, it's got to be sustainable and beneficial to the whole community.
And maybe for your purposes, you know, an agreement with the high school gyms for your weekend tournaments and the rec center and the middle school. I mean, we are going to have additional gymnasium capabilities. That is part of this whole construction. The reason we had to do it primarily was because of walking access and not having adequate facilities for kids to get dressed and that sort of thing. That was part of the time for us, so. I mean, I think you really have to dig into those numbers to see whether this is something that works for you financially and works for the community as well. So.
We're getting pretty tight on time.
Yeah.
We better.
I'm just seeing Sam's out there, so.
Yeah, we better get Sam in here.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Jeremy.
Thank
It's
you.
an interesting.
And Jeremy,
So,
we can talk in terms of, as you
Yeah.
put something together to.
Yep, sounds good.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we got Sam.
That's the Laura's checking to see where Sam is.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
It's condensed.
Please. How are you, Sam?
Good, how are you guys doing?
Good. Building's looking nice.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's looking really good.
Looks good.
Brent's got just a few pictures.
Pond's dry.
The pond's dry, well, not totally now. Today, we got a little bit of rain, put water in.
Just enough at the bottom?
Yeah.
You talking the south pond?
No, the north bottom.
Oh,
The north pond's
Yeah.
supposed to be dry and it
Yeah.
never dried up until,
Yeah.
I mean, it took a drought to make it dry up.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Okay, so quickly, the current schedule is to accept the building on August 1st. They're on schedule for that. So it's looking pretty good. The auditorium in the original contract, which is what we're looking at here, was called for an October one. They might not make that. And the biggest reason would be the theater rigging is still tied up in COVID problems. That's coming out of New York City. They still haven't been released to even build it. They aren't working. So the theater rigging is holding up the auditorium, but the rest of it's progressing pretty well. The gym will probably not be done on August 1st because the bleachers were a COVID issue. They are made in upstate New York. Governor Cuomo has released, they're manufacturing, they put on 3 shifts. They originally told us August 5th, they're still holding to that, is when the bleachers are supposed to come. We should have bleachers in the gym and ready to use by mid-August. So hopefully all that's true. So, whoops, go back, Brent. So this is standing on the stage right now. You can see there's this huge scaffold in here. The scaffold is about 16 feet above the stage floor. It's about 20 4 feet above the auditorium floor. And it covers the entire auditorium with that floor. We call it a dance floor because everyone up there has to kind of move in concert to do their work. This is for all the stuff that's going on up in the ceiling. You can see now that the heat drops are in, the catwalk is done. They're preparing to get ready to paint the ceiling black. So good progress in there. Eventually, I think that's another month, the dance floor will be up and then it'll be gone. Okay, Brent. So this is in the commons area, and we are looking, gotta get oriented. Yeah, we're looking to the south, or to the east.
South.
This is east. So you can see American Athletic out behind it. We're standing right here in where they're gonna eat. The students will eat in this area. Then that's the main commons going north and south. And you can see out where the bus kids will come in this entrance here. So it's taking shape. You can see they've ground the concrete. That's starting to take shape in there. Next. Inside the kitchen equipment has been delivered. This is in the food service kitchen. So you can see they're starting to put in the ovens under the hood. They got a lot of these trays that they're starting to put together. The tables are getting built. It's coming together in the kitchen. You can see the ceiling grid is in, ready to tile as soon as they finish this work. Okay, next. This is in the kitchen. This is Iowa Central's kitchen. Ram Restaurant's kitchen's right back there under that hood. Both of them are in progress now, so making good progress here in those kitchens. They should be ready for up by August 1st. Next, okay, main entrance. You can see this is the door at the main entrance. This is the conference room. The art room's right above there. You can see this phenolic panel is starting to get installed. This wood then carries forward into the office, so that ties it all together. It also is on the ceilings of all these vestibules in the commons area, which is starting to take shape. This is Ram Restaurant right here. So, yeah, and now we're standing at the top of the learning stair looking south through these 2 little cubicles in this area that's all small collaboration spaces. And on beyond there where those X's are on the windows, that's the media center over there. And you can see they've laid the flooring in there, getting ready to put the railings on the actual posts. It's all that stainless steel wire railings. It's gonna look really cool. And you can see they've got the lights hung. They don't need them on. They monitor the daylight, so they're not on a lot because it's so much light from the panel. Next. This is in one of the science rooms. You can see the casework has started to go in. The countertops arrived yesterday, and they started putting those in. All the floorings in the science rooms, they're making good progress in those. You can see their clouds are hung and finished. So you can see the ceiling has these gaps where you can look up between the clouds and see the black ceiling up above. So
Do they still use soapstone tops? Or
yeah, they're similar now.
Oh, okay.
But they're more of an epoxy resin one, but they're really similar to the soapstone. They're heavy.
Yeah.
That. Okay, next. This would be the general science room. So you can see the teacher's area and the lab tables, different shape of the clouds, but taking shape. You can also see those windows that we've talked about. This is the commons right out here. So looking down in here, that's the commons. Looking up there, you're looking outside. The roof of the commons is right between those windows. So it's actually really cool to look down in the commons. I didn't think I'd like that, but it really is pretty cool.
Interesting floor design.
Yeah, it's pretty geometric.
Yeah.
Okay, next. This is the art room. You can see it has that same floor pattern, but you can see that all the light it has. It has some windows, but the rest are the panel, but it's all light. Her marker board are these doors on her cabinetry, and that's taking pretty good shape now. Her lighting is up. The furniture people, we met with them today. They have all of her furniture ready to put in there. So It's in really good shape, coming along really well. Next. Typical restroom, just so you can see, they already have the toilet partitions in. All the drain lines are in, the sinks are in now and all hooked up. All the fixtures are in the restrooms. You can see the tile on the floor and the walls, and they're painted. So I think the only thing that's left is put in the toilet paper holders and the soap dispensers that the school is providing from our supplier. But that's about it in the restrooms, so they're ready to open those. Next. Outside, this is looking at the gym. So these two doors go into the gym. This is the gym here. This is the weight room. And you can tell he took this picture yesterday. It's covered now with most of the panel. It's making really good progress. You can see they graded the dirt, ready to plant the grass. That's pretty much graded all the way around the building now. There's just a tiny bit of dirt left to do. You can see they got a portable air conditioner. They're air conditioning the gym to get ready to lay the wood floor. But actually today, and you can see some workers up there on the roof, they started the gym unit today at about 3 o'clock. So it started putting cooling in there. The chillers started today too. So they don't run very much because there's no load. The gym's designed to cool for 1,500 people and there's no one in there. So it doesn't take much to cool it. So next. In the office, so the door they come in to talk to the office, the door they get buzzed into the school right there. You can see the phenolic panel in behind it. This is in the office. Then you can see this glass wall where the conference room is. This is the reception desk starting to go in here. You can see they ground the floor in here. That's the finished floor product. So the carpet is in the offices back here. Floor covering is in on almost all of the academic wing. So it's really taking shape. You can even see the phenolic and the lights up on the ceiling. Just got to put these two doors in. Next. Doing great, Brent. All right. You can see that this is in the alternative school. So they're laying carpet in there. We've been using this as the office, but we moved it now. So they finished today with the floor covering in all of the rooms in the Career Academy. So all the carpet and all of the vinyl tile is all down in the Career Academy. So moving along, you can see the lights are in there. The speakers have been hung. Brent's guys hung those. Tech Zone is doing that. So it's coming along pretty good. Next. In one of the shop spaces, this one is the manufacturing space, and you can see they got the floors cleaned and sealed. They're painted, the ceiling's painted, all of the ductwork painted. These are pretty much ready for Iowa Central to bring their machinery in. We've talked to them and coordinated a delivery for this machinery in here right around the first part of August. So things are coming together pretty good in the Career Academy as well. Next. And then this is an overhead view of the whole thing. So Career Academy right here, auditorium, academic wing, gym, locker rooms, and then this space in here is the commons, area E. You can see the service drive is in here. So the semis can pull in here and pull like this and then back in to deliver all the food service up into there. Also along this is where all the shop areas are for, and they have the overhead doors for deliveries and stuff. Parking for the students out here in the south lot. Parking for the public and the Career Academy out here on the north lot. Drive all the way around is all poured. The only concrete left to pour on the job is a little tiny pad right there to hold the grease container, and then the greenhouse is the only concrete left to pour.
Teachers park on the north lot?
The teachers will park on the north lot, yeah. We've had a coordination meeting on talking about how we're gonna work with the contractor to finish the auditorium while we're in school. We have a way to keep the school separate, and Tim was in there, Brian, we had a really good meeting. It should work pretty well. We're gonna concentrate the contractor's equipment and stuff over here, park him in one area of the parking lot. And then they will access back through the back of the stage where they'll be the only ones that can go in there. And the auditorium otherwise is pretty self-contained. You can lock it off so the rest of the school can be used. And we'll go ahead and finish the auditorium with the students in place. So everything's coming along. Any questions?
Looks awesome.
The other one, the middle school, they delivered the truss today for the new gym wall. The gym wall is down, getting ready to put that up in the next week or so. Tons of progress in the heating and cooling end of that. They got ductwork up. They're running the hydronic piping. All of that's looking really good. We got a nice jump on that because of the COVID. I mean, COVID gave us an extra month in there of work, and that's coming along ahead of schedule. So looking really good, but we do have some equipment issues on that one that are just out there. But we may have some heating and cooling pieces that don't work when school starts, but
Because it's getting manufactured.
because it's manufacturing.
Yeah.
They just can't get us the parts and the machines, but
And again, what's the start date for the middle school?
September 8th, Tuesday after Labor Day.
That's, and for the high school, it's,
August 27th
okay, yeah.
so, yeah.
Elementary's 20,
is the 8th as well.
they're 8th as well, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the high school, because of the Carnegie units that it has to,
Yeah, so you need
Right.
4 days.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's kind of worked out.
the actual hours the state requires would be satisfied like the other two, but the Carnegie units wouldn't. So,
So is the middle school on track other than heating and cooling?
Yeah, it's going really well. We'll have it all buttoned back up, and it'd be whether the units are actually on the roof and functioning at that point. The boilers probably won't be on by September, but we don't need them till October.
Again, the office area and that is until
Yeah.
November. I mean,
And-
it's later.
And we push that off till November. We've really concentrated them on the areas we need done.
Right.
And that's coming together really well. So they're making great progress out there. They should be actually starting to put ceiling grids back in, I would think, in the next week or two. Because they got most of the duct and the piping up, so.
Looks really good, Sam, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Yeah,
It's going good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
no,
So,
awesome.
comment on issues with electrical replacements and availability, and somebody getting in my face about, can't put the speakers up in the gym, I'm gonna have to bring other equipment in because the electrical isn't in there, partly maybe because all of it originates from the theater, that was the last thing to be done maybe. But also in the classroom, supposedly the electrical outlets were placed according to the correct plan. We used the furniture plan instead of some other plan, and that created some difficulties. So is that a big problem, that a little problem that's solved, is we work around it? Not trying
In
to
the
put you on
classroom,
spot.
the classrooms, it was an architect issue. There's about 4 places where they did not put the floor box in the right place. That controls the clever
We had
touch.
some on at one point.
And we talked about putting them on and we took them back out because it just wasn't gonna work. Each teacher got to kind of pick where they wanted their floor box, and one of the plans showed it right, and the one that actually showed the power showed it a different way. They put it in according to the power plan, not the technology. But Tim and Brent were watching the technology plan. So we chose not to tear up the floor and fix that part. So it's gonna be fine. The gym, there's no problems with it bad. There's no electrical problems in the gym. The only issue in the gym is about the baskets are capable of going up and down up in 8 foot to 10 foot. And we didn't wire for that. So we're looking at a cost to do that, but that's on down the road. We're not gonna get full functionality out of what we bought because the wiring isn't there for it. And again, that's architectural. So we had a few architect things like that. Right, Chris? It would be engineering, but I'll say
Not
architectural.
throwing the engineers under the bus, thank you.
Yeah. Since you did the, no, it's pretty good. There's gonna be so little problems.
The only other big comment is the weight room size.
Yeah.
Some people upset about that. My understanding is that's the way it's been since the architect designed it. We never did.
We never changed the size
We
of
never
it.
changed the size.
No,
But there was probably a lack of communication because of the turnover in athletic director.
that could be, but it's been, we downsized classrooms, we downsized the commons, we downsized a lot of things. We
Never
never
downsized
changed the weight room.
My question is on that weight room, because I've heard the same thing, Steve. Is that a room that could be possibly expanded someday easily? Or not easily, but
Not easily, but yes, it could be expanded.
that's what I'm saying.
It's on the end of the building, so you could expand
Yeah, that's what I'm
it.
saying. It's got exterior walls, so it could be expanded someday. if we-
It just wouldn't look right.
I talked to Mr. Gordon about it, and he said, we're gonna make do with what we got, and it'll work.
And he came in, he and Chris Connor and Kate all came and we toured the weight room. Chris is laying out, what powerlift can do in there. And they seem to be quite content with how it's gonna lay out, so Chris was. I didn't detect anything from their meeting. He was,
Some
we'll
of the-
put racks here, we'll do this.
Some of
and-
the was that they were mad
and-
and not gonna participate.
They were
They're still
definitely
partic-
mad, because I heard about it from all of them.
But they still are participating in the project.
As far as I know, yeah, Chris was out there. I had to get him a plan. I just got it by email today.
Well, I went back and looked at the old prints, they've never changed, what the dimensions are, because
No, the
Cole
dimen-
called me one day.
Yeah, that's
About
been
that,
the
and I went
dimensions
back
of
and
it.
looked, and I said, it's what it's always been, I don't know any different.
Since day one, it was where it is and the
And I didn't-
dimensions is. yeah.
No, it was an issue that it was not.
Well,
Same thing.
it's an issue everywhere, it's never
Everybody
big
wants
enough.
more space.
Yeah,
Kinda like a machine shed.
100%.
They were big
You
enough.
never have
Yeah.
big enough space.
Well, thanks, Sam. I think
You're
we
welcome. Thank you.
better adjourn here, get
Yeah.
ready for our
Thanks.
next meeting,
Go back
so.
real quick.
So we'll adjourn.
See you, Chris.
I could have used that. Thanks for coming.
You bet.
Well,
It's been fun.
You've done an assessment, you said.
Thanks.
What do you do?
Yeah, there's, when we start taking out those form shares, we talk to the elevator and shafts. There's some structural work. What's that? That we're gonna have to make sure it's solidified. If you go down that boiler room, there's a lot of metal shafts that hold up that work session that are just bolted in. So there's some structural.
Yeah, I've heard so.
The exterior walls, and all the interior floor walls are all concrete.
We're ready, Brent.
Really not.
And our understanding is that the finishes of those are gonna be a little less than ours, so they're not like the Formica countertops, maybe a little more standard apartment style building. Ours are gonna be more high-end, I guess, we're trying to kind of compete with that, people that are living at 220. So,
Hey Nate, we need to start.
Yep, sorry.
All right, we're going to call to order here. The district mission and vision statement is promoting lifelong learners through real-life experiences. Please call the roll and establish quorum.
Denhart.
Here.
Carver. McConnell.
Here.
Wilson. Here. Fisher.
Here. Ask for the approval of the agenda.
We approve the agenda as outlined.
Second.
Moved by Steve, seconded by Mike. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, old business.
Nothing.
Have no old business. Excuse me, I'm bringing it up here. All right, consent items. Any questions or comments on consent items?
I move we approve the consent items.
Second.
Okay, moved by Steve, seconded by Catherine. Please call the roll.
Denhart.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. All right, new business. Item A, 2020 through 2021 depository resolution.
We need to declare again what banks we're gonna use and what our limits are, so.
The change is that people's is 14, theirs is 17.
Yeah, I just made them and home state even, yeah.
I move we approve the 2021 depository resolution.
Hey, I'll fight you for this.
Yeah, let's
Maybe John McConnell could second it.
Yeah, good, yeah. Okay, we have a motion by Steve and seconded by somebody to approve the 2020 through 2021 depository resolution. Please call the roll.
Wilson.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Item B, appoint board, legal counsel, treasurer, and secretary.
I'd like to recommend Muma Peterson continue as legal counsel, Sid Jones as treasurer, and Brent Muir as board secretary.
So no changes.
No changes.
I move to approve board appointments as listed.
Somebody second.
Motion by John to appoint the board, legal counsel, treasurer, and secretary, seconded by Mike. Please call the roll.
Carver.
Yes.
Wilson.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, C, the bond disclosure procedures.
There's been some new law changes, and Beth Grove from Allers Law Firm had told me that this was gonna happen, and that when we did our GO bonds. So anyway, moving forward, if we ever do another bond thing again, there's a very definite list of things that need to be done. She's outlined and put it into like a procedure policy book for us. She said it didn't have to be an official school board policy, but we did have to have the actual policy in place that will be followed if and when we need it. So,
So those just have to be placed in.
yeah, in a file somewhere that we can pull out if we need it. Yep.
We approve the bond disclosure procedures.
Second.
Okay, motion by Steve, seconded by John to approve the bond disclosure procedures. Please call the roll.
Denhart.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, item D, allocation of energy efficiency building tax deduction through Henkel Construction.
Hinkle Construction is able to, based on the work they're doing on the buildings, they're able to apply for tax deductions, tax credits. It's not anything from us, it's all government related. But they do need an okay from the entity for them to move forward with that, so I'd recommend doing that.
And there's really no change in our,
No,
it's not like we get a little credit or.
No, it's as a-
It can't be.
as a non, or
A public body.
a public body, we are not eligible for them, so.
Do they build those credits into the budget though, of the plan, or is that just an additional benefit that they get?
I guess an additional benefit, right? Because if we would say no, then they don't get them. You know, so I don't think they
But
can.
why would we say no?
Correct, but I don't think they can count on them, so I don't think they will.
Okay. I wonder how much they are.
That's 400,000.
Wow.
We move to approve energy efficient building tax deductions. Credit being construction.
Second.
Okay, motion by Steve, seconded by Catherine to approve the allocation for the energy efficient building tax deductions. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Item E, special board policies, COVID-19 driven.
There's several policies that we need to approve, again, related to COVID-19. A lot of them right now go through the end of December 31st. It's gonna be interesting tracking all of them. You know, they're family medical leave related, that if somebody has COVID or COVID symptoms, or somebody in the family, as long as they've got, you know, doctor, it's gotta be medical certification, you just can't say, I've gotta stay home, but, you know, there's 2 weeks paid leave that does not come off of their medical, or their
Sick leave bank.
regular sick leave, it's on top of. And then, you know, if they've gotta stay home and watch a kid, there's, you know, under the Family Medical Leave Act, there's actually up to 10 weeks of paid at 2/3 rate, so there's a lot of stuff in here.
It's all based on federal law. It's
Yeah,
not like
it's
we
nothing
can
that we
not do
have-
it. We have to do it.
Choice. There is in here if, again, we'll talk about the return to our reopening school. There's a policy in here, excused absence, basically, if a student has medical issues that they can't come back, there's a form that they would fill out and have a medical professional, that they can't come back to school is another one of the forms. And there's a related appropriate use of online learning. That's a new policy. And then operations during public emergencies. So again, a lot of policies that again are directly related to the COVID-19.
Wasn't there,
From the DOE, are these from the Department of Education?
Iowa School Board Association.
wasn't there some legislation, state legislation that limits liability for businesses? Does that apply to schools as well?
It does.
Yeah.
I guess I would recommend, if you approve these, to waive the second reading so we can get things established and get forms out there for people before school starts, rather than waiting until a week before. But that's up to you.
The waive one, say that.
I would like to see you approve these policies and waive the second reading of it. Usually board policies need 2 readings to be approved. That's up to you.
Because there's several of these again that are gonna, and this is my main concern moving forward, you know, we've got a lot of, you know, we've got 175 to 180 employees, we've got a lot of young kids, you know, parents with young kids and everything, you know. These policies are really gonna have an impact on us this year.
Well, basically, we got to do it anyway.
Correct.
So they have to wait it for the law.
So, when you're saying, so if you have a teacher that now can't work because she has to be home taking care of a dependent, we're paying her 2/3 of her pay while she's there, then we're paying a teacher to do the classroom work as well.
If you can find one.
Funds come from, yeah, find somebody who's willing to do that, because most of our subs are too old to be exposing themselves.
That's a concern I have.
Yeah.
And I think the jury is still out whether there's,
Are there federal funds to help support this, or?
I don't know whether there's gonna be additional funds for this or not, or whether the expectation is that
Figure it out.
figured out or CARES Act funds, but yeah,
Well, I move we approve these policies and we waive the second reading.
I just have one question before we vote on it, which won't matter. Does this, with all the, because a lot of this goes to extra cleaning and extra everything we have to do. Is that, can we request spending authority for that since it's above and beyond the normal?
Because it's gonna be every school district in Iowa, I think they'll come up with something. I don't think they're gonna, I don't know. There might be a case where there'll be a blanket thing like they do with special ed deficit and stuff. I don't know. I think it's gonna have to be a lot of tracking of expenses and proving things and.
Well, just,
Have
I
we looked
assume
at
that's
how
a
many
question. but
additional
not a-
employees it's gonna take to do all that?
that'd be a good question to ask.
Question.
We're not advertising yet for 2 additional employees to clean.
If we've been advertising for custodians, yeah, but,
We're just replacing the ones that have retired.
Yeah, right.
or have left for the
Yeah.
health system.
yeah, it's hard to find people.
Okay.
Motion and a second on the floor.
All right, so we have a motion by Steve, seconded by
Mike.
Mike, to approve the reading and waive the second reading of to approve this new board policy and to waive the second reading of it. Please call the roll.
Wilson.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. All right, first reading of the revised board policy 904.2 on advertising and promotion.
With the logo and everything that we're looking at moving forward with, borrowed some policies from Ankeny School District actually with, looking at trademark and logo and those things. We'd like to have a first reading of that.
So this is first reading, we don't approve it tonight, we just.
No, we'll have second reading in August.
Is it just, we're just copywriting this, is that what?
Correct. Copyright and then, people that want to use the logo, I mean, there's certain that are exempt from the licensing, but, it's basically allows us to track
So I
usage.
want to make some money on a Ram t-shirt, I license it through the school,
Correct.
it's not anybody else, it's not the state, it's just through the school. Same as if it were Iowa State.
Make motion.
Are we voting on this? I thought,
You have to approve the first reading.
okay, approve the first reading of the revised, no. Yes, the revised board policy 904.2, advertising and promotion.
Okay, motion by Catherine, seconded by Mike to approve this first reading of 904.2. All, please call the roll.
Carver.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. All right, fundraising requests.
Got a request from FFA to do their annual fruit, meat, cheese fundraiser.
I move we approve the FFA fundraiser request, and of note, they do have options that you can order it and have it rapidly delivered, so it may take some of the middle man exposure out of the whole process too, so there are some provisions on how it's designed.
Second.
Motion by Steve, seconded by Catherine to approve fundraising requests. Please call the roll.
Denhart.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Nutrition bids, dairy and bakery.
Put out nutrition bids and I'd like to recommend Anderson Erickson for milk and Hannah Gold for bread.
can I change the words to dairy and bakery? Because we're gonna buy more than milk, and we're gonna buy, thanks. Thanks.
We approve Anderson Erickson for dairy and Sunderville for bacon.
Second.
Motion by Steve, seconded by Mike to approve the nutrition bids. Please call the roll.
Connell.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, item I, the 2020 through 2021 handbooks.
Those are all online. Bus driver handbook, I would say no changes to. Coach director handbook, I don't think there are any changes to. Employee, I don't think there's any changes to. There's some of the student parent handbook.
And those can be viewed online? Okay.
Is there anything of importance of the change in the student parent? I didn't find any when I tried to read through it. Move we approve 2020, 2021 handbooks as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Steve, seconded by Mike to approve the 2020 through 2021 handbooks. Please call the roll.
Wilson.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, change orders for asbestos.
I can report that the asbestos is,
Finally gone.
we're done with it. We're done with it, but yeah, there was another, if you picture all the heating cabinets in all the classrooms, there's, along the outside, there was
It's basically a trough that
Yeah,
held the pipes.
chases that had the pipes and all that there was vermiculite, which contains asbestos in it, that they had to take that out, and they found some other mud fittings.
So it costs an extra 13 grand, looks like, huh?
The latest, I mean, you approved the $5,400 one.
That's 4,000?
So this is 7,200.
Oh, okay, all right, so it's an additional 8,100. All right,
Move we approve change order number 3 for the additional mud fittings and vermiculite to the asbestos abatement.
all right, motion by Steve, seconded by John to approve the asbestos change orders. Please call the roll.
Denhart.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, item K, furniture and equipment for the new high school and career academy.
Essentially, we're putting new furniture in the high school career academy, so this is cost of that.
Furniture in my house.
What's that?
So I don't mind furniture.
Iowa Central is, again, they're equipping the career academy classrooms with their equipment.
So what is this? This is furniture for just for the career academy?
No.
Career
I-
Academy in high school. So
Oh,
this is-
okay, I was gonna
This is
say,
desks for all the classroom,
Okay,
teachers,
yeah.
desks and chairs, and,
this is built into the budget,
correct.
yeah.
And we aren't moving anything, it's all going to be viewed.
Lunch tables would be about the only thing that we're moving, yes.
You moving like middle school out to the high school and then high school out to the
Right now, they have started,
lunch tables?
oh,
Lunch tables.
Oh.
I'm just curious if you're,
yeah, the middle school lunch tables will go out to high school. Plus additional lunch tables that we have to try to meet the needs of everything. But just so you know, right now, they have turned the majority of the classrooms over to us. The guys and gals have started moving boxes from the high school out to the new building, and have started moving some stuff from the middle school, old middle school to the new middle school. But as far as furniture for the new middle school, the new middle school, it'll be a combination of if they like what they have there, they'll leave it or maybe move some of the stuff from the middle school.
Has this furniture been installed then?
It is not, Sam said they just met with them today, the first couple weeks of August is when that will be coming.
All right, any other questions?
Do we approve the purchase of the furniture for the new high school career academy?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Steve, seconded by Catherine to approve the furniture and equipment purchases for the new high school and a career academy. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, middle school, which is the former high school commissioning proposal from IMEG.
And that has to be commissioned as well, that's again, the law.
So have they done the work on the high school, or that's still to,
It's still ongoing.
it's on?
I mean, they look at stuff above the ceiling and then as systems come online, they make sure it's
We
all.
really didn't have any bids from anybody else, right? I guess really, we approved the commissioning proposal by IMEG.
Second.
All right, motion by Steve, seconded by Catherine to approve the new middle school commissioning proposal, IMEG. Please call the roll.
Denhart.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, school reopening plan.
What I'm handing out, the first sheet I handed out, we've got a committee of 29 staff members that have been involved in this whole process of meeting and having conversations and everything. So been a lot of people involved in it to this point. Second one I handed you is a memo that I'll be sending out to staff. Again, that's always the challenge, that not everybody can be involved in it. We want the public to know as soon as possible, but we also want to inform the staff as soon as possible. I kind of want to go through the one document looking at sending out to the public. The one clarification I want to make that a lot of people really don't understand. We had to submit a return to learn plan on July 1st. The return to learn plan, again, completely related to COVID-19. But when schools had to shut down in March and go remote, schools as a whole were not prepared to do that. So return to learn plan, every school was required to put together a plan for what remote learning would look like. So, that's one thing that we put together and had to submit. So that's kind of setting over here, the return to learn plan. But that's in case we ever have to go into remote learning again, that we're prepared for that. The second phase of that, or the second part, is reopening school. And the governor's office and the DE at the end of June, they issued guidance for reopening schools, and very limited guidance. Kind of said get back to school. But we've looked at all those things. Again, focusing on the return to learn a little bit, the things that we've looked at is, ensuring everybody has internet access to the best of our ability, making sure that we've got a common platform, Google Classroom, Seesaw, professional development for parents. There was a lot of parents that struggled using Google Classroom or Seesaw. Continuing to provide lunch and breakfast for students, social emotional supports. Those are the things in the Return to Learn plan. As we look at reopening school in the fall, again, based on the guidance that we've had and the conversations we've had with all these people, it would be our recommendation that we reopen school in the fall, everybody on site, would be the recommendation right now. Understanding that could change next week, it could change in a month. And physical distancing is one of the issues that could change some of that. Right now they're talking 3 to 6 feet is the recommendation. Again, that's why we've got this room set up the way that it is. Right now we've got seating in this room for, we had 21 people and there's still space here, so I believe that we can meet the 3 to 6 feet and have a classroom of 20 to 25. Again, we're still working on a lot of that and what that looks like. The things that we are, again, looking at, we've got to identify students that may not be able to come back due to health concerns. And that's one of the policies that you approved in here, that there'll be a form that they've got to fill out, and we will continue to provide virtual remote learning to those students. So that's something that we've got to continue to do, and that's a part of our plan. Track student and staff absences. We're working with public health, Becky Wolf right now. If we have a certain number of staff or student absences related to COVID-19, is there a point that we need to, close school for a period of time? That's something that we're still working on, but we've got to track those things. Parents, visitors, volunteers will not be allowed beyond the main office area. So we're not going to let just anybody in the building. The office will be the extent where they can get. And we're in the process right now of installing, not in the process, but will be plexiglass shields in the offices and in the media center, like you see in a lot of businesses. All staff will complete Department of Education Health and Safety training modules. There's modules out there to equip them with the knowledge they need. First aid kits will be provided in all classrooms to limit student trips to nurse's office. We don't want kids going constantly to the nurse's office. So they'll have Band-Aids and all those things that they don't have to leave the classroom. Tylenol, ibuprofen, which can mask COVID symptoms, will no longer be dispersed by school nurse or other certified staff unless a doctor's order is presented. Parents, guardians of students who report being ill at school will be contacted to pick up the student from school. And again, students who are ill are encouraged to stay home. That's a big point that we need to focus on. Students having COVID-19 symptoms will be kept separate from students reporting the nurse's office with other health-related issues. So we're working on designating a separate location for somebody who has COVID symptoms from other students that are ill with something else. Students with a member of their household testing positive for COVID-19 will be asked to stay home for 14 days. Students with COVID-19 symptoms or a positive test may not attend school for 14 days. Masks. Wearing masks is strongly encouraged but will not be required. Important for everyone to recognize wearing a mask as a personal choice. No one wearing or not wearing a mask should be singled out. Just for some data, just had an AA meeting yesterday, and of the 19, they got some surveys, of the 19 schools that participated in the survey, 18 of the 19 were not requiring masks. We would be one of those. The other school was, if physical distancing was not possible, we're asking people to wear masks, so.
Why are these guys not requiring masks when they say that is one of the biggest things? I mean, I don't quite get that one. I mean, that's supposed to be the number one thing that keeps you from getting it. Why are we not? You're putting, when these kids go into the hallways and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
You're not
debatable.
gonna social distance them.
I think the data is debatable, from what I understand.
You know,
It is.
What's debatable, Steve?
The data on masks is debatable. I mean, there's,
One of the, on TV8 News this morning, one of the top doctors in the country said that, I mean, maybe you're right about data, I don't know.
it's all, yeah. I mean, it's,
You can make a very strong case both ways.
Yeah.
That the masks are permeable to the virus because it's very small, so theoretically we did. There was a study reported, and I did this in the lay press, it's not a scientific journal, but the two cosmetologists in Missouri that worked when they were ill wore their masks the entire time that they worked while they were ill. The clients wore their masks. Nobody got sick besides those two. It's pretty convincing anecdotal information that the masks do have some impact. I hate masks, and I go both directions on this, but
you know,
I don't know.
isn't another concern though, the way kids fiddle with them all the time?
They're not gonna keep it on right,
Yeah,
and they're not gonna socially distance,
yeah.
okay?
And they're probably not gonna wash their hands like
Stay
they
6 feet apart
should.
all you want to, but they're gonna be hugging each other or hitting each other 5 minutes after they hit the room. Because I've seen that at the fair and all those places already. I mean, I don't know what our responsibility is as a my greatest fear, I'm not really all that fearful for the children, other than we do have some kids that probably are at risk because of other diseases that they have. My biggest concern is maybe for some of our older teachers. They're probably the group that maybe should be the most concerned.
I think you said in the beginning of this, though, this has to be fluid, and you told us that this is subject to change tomorrow.
that's the thing, again, I'm not saying anything, but if everybody's saying that no mask is.
Do we buy masks and have a supply in each room so that kids can have them if they want?
We had a donation of 3,000 masks from People's Bank. That was very, very nice. That again, I think that if somebody needs one.
So is that, I mean, they're cloth, so you
Yeah, they're-
label it that your own and take it home and bring it back?
Pass it
or-
Yeah, it's washable.
We don't want
yes.
everybody touching your
Yeah.
mask.
My thing, I guess, with the mask is I don't disagree that they don't work. I mean, that's obviously work. But to force somebody to wear it if they don't want to. I mean, if you're concerned with it, I'm concerned with it, but I'm gonna wear it. I mean, it should be more of a personal choice. If you're worried about getting it, you're worried about the area you're going to get it, then you should wear one. Or you should educate your kids well enough that, hey, I'm not comfortable with you going to school, you should wear a mask. You know, it shouldn't be our job to say, hey, everybody's gonna wear one, like it or not. Because it's not.
You can't enforce it, besides.
It's, you know, we can't enforce cell phones, how are we gonna enforce a mask?
Well, and they're part of the thing. I mean, don't you think hand washing is probably as important as wearing a mask?
Oh, yeah.
And don't you think
Say
that, staying away from people is probably as important as well, I mean.
It'll be interesting. The state of Alabama, I think, starting tomorrow is mandating masks. It'll be interesting to see again the next 30 days whether any changes in the state of Iowa.
Yeah, right, it could all change tomorrow.
So, but that's what we're looking at right now. And again, I'm open for discussion. Students will be required to wear a mask when visiting the school nurse's office. If they think they've got symptoms or whatever. We want to protect.
Is there other, we talked, you and I talked about the weight room and I looked that up, the Iowa Athletic Association does require that. Is there other areas, do you know?
I don't believe
I heard today that maybe choir would be.
Right now, to be honest, I'm having a major discussion with band and vocal people that they're following a national study that large group band and vocal is going to be extremely challenging.
I talked to Becky Griner today, and her husband is,
Yeah, Alan.
and they recommended that choir would wear masks. So it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, so I don't know.
See what the mask.
They're recommending
Be
they
louder.
do?
She
Well, the
said,
problem is when you sing, you put a lot of droplets out there, and more than 6 feet, because if you've got a big voice, you're putting them out there about 12 feet. So
How do you sing when you got a
some of the
mask
biggest-
on?
Some of the biggest outbreaks were church groups that got together and had choir practice. Super spreaders occurred in those situations, so that's the big concern. Is Take them all outside until it gets too cold.
Yeah, they're suggesting that you
there you go, have choir outside, there you go.
so that's still a work in progress.
That'll be interesting in February.
What's that?
That'll be interesting in February.
Disposable masks will be provided for visits to the nurse's office. Looking at hand sanitizer stations located at the entry doors, students will sanitize hands upon entry to the building. Hand sanitizer stations located outside all middle school and high school classrooms, again, with students changing classes with the expectation that they use that upon entry and exit. And then the hand sanitizing will be available in elementary classrooms as well, with the expectation that they use it, but they're not necessarily changing classroom. Students provided opportunities throughout the day to wash their hands. Students taught the proper way to wash their hands. Enhanced cleaning protocol in place throughout the day. So clean as much as we can, wipe off, doorknobs and all that kind of stuff. Cleaning materials available for students if they wish to wipe down their desk. Again, we don't have the ability to have a custodian outside every single, or a custodian inside every single classroom to be able to wipe all the desks in between classes. So if that's something they want, make that available to them. Water fountains will be turned off.
Is that water fountains and refilling stations?
No. That's the next bullet.
Oh, my bad.
Water bottle fill stations will be available. Students will be asked to bring their own water bottles and request that they take them home and wash them daily.
How does that work? Versus drinking fountain?
Well, drinking fountain, you're getting your lips right up on,
You tell me you're not putting the lid of that bottle in the same fountain?
It is,
I disagree.
the thing is here, the spigot is recessed, because I was concerned about that as well. That you put the bottle on and it comes out.
So you'll never touch the thing?
Kids gotta have water during the day. I mean, mine do. I guess they could put a jug of water in their
Yeah,
not
there's
lockers that they
So
don't
many
have.
places you can't refill your drink, you gotta have a new cup.
You're just gonna have to do the best you can. It's not gonna be.
No, I
No
understand.
question about that.
I
I guess
understand.
my question was, are we allowing a longer period of time between classes? Is this gonna take more than 2 minutes to change classes? You got everybody hand sanitizer on the way out, on the way in, wiping down their desk.
Some of the details are yet to be worked out.
You have to do a study to see how long that takes to get 20 kids from one place to the other.
Again, in terms of the schedule, we're still working on
Yeah. No,
developing some of that, because some of that needs to be fluid from the standpoint of,
It's gonna take away educational time.
the intent is to bring it, be all back, but
Maybe this is the year we go all year school. Stretch out our day and now we go every day.
so,
New trend.
yeah.
Stretch things out.
I think there's enough change right now. It's easy.
Does public health, are they providing any kind of recommendations about when you would close school, a certain percentage of the population?
Like I said, we met with Becky Wolf last Thursday, and unfortunately, she has received zero guidance from the next level up. So she's asking more questions, because that's her main question is, what's the threshold for?
The summer sports are kind of the experiment that was gonna guide us in sports as we go forward. We don't cancel seasons because of influenza, but we have canceled teams' seasons because of COVID. Probably not any more dangerous than influenza. It's just that there's more of it out there. I get that part of it, but if you got one kid, you cancel the whole team season? I mean, it's
We're still-
interesting to see what the recommendation.
Still working on a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to go by recommendations, but
Yeah.
public health specialists are worried about numbers. People who take care of people are worried about the whole person, and there's a lot of stuff there that needs to be taken care of that gets avoided, but worried about the other.
Buses, students will be assigned seats on school bus. Students spaced apart is permitted by number of riders. Buses cleaned after students are transported. Buses was a big concern I had, and we've talked to the bus drivers, and they feel comfortable with whatever we're doing school-wide. You know, we'll probably have the windows down and as long as we can as well. That's a recommendation. Spread students out for lunch. Some students eating lunch in classrooms. I think with the space at the new high school and at the middle school, we've got some additional lunch tables that I think we'll be able to spread everybody out in both those buildings. The elementary, maybe not so much. We've talked about, we may have to have a rotating basis where 2 classes are eating in their classroom, and, they're not doing that every day, but rotating through. And at the elementary, as much as possible, we're gonna try to keep the classes together. Again, not confined to their room, but class A and B will be the 2 classes that are out together for recess. Not necessarily rotating that around, so again, we've got the same folks together. Encourage all students to practice physical distancing. That's probably easier said than done. Limit student assemblies. Don't see a lot of student assemblies. Gonna have to really work on assessing student learning progress, where students, where they are, so we can, teach them from where they're at and move forward. Communication to confirm cases. In talking again to public health, we'll be looking at notifying people that we've had a confirmed case in the elementary, middle school, high school, probably say it's a student or staff member, but we'll not say that, we had a student in Mrs. So-and-so's class that, tested positive, with maintaining confidentiality, really can't get in there to do those things.
And if there is a positive test, we're not shutting school down.
Again, that's further communication with public health, what their recommendations are. That we still need to get that from them, that what would trigger a closure. Again, frequent communication with public health. Communicate with public health to establish threshold for potential school closures. The biggest thing that people need to note, the remote learning we did in the spring was voluntary. Any remote learning moving forward would be required. Attendance would be required and all those things that they would have to participate. Questions?
Are we in a position where if 15% of the class is at home because of whatever reason, qualified by doctor's orders, the teacher gonna have to have 2 game plans? Is she gonna have to teach virtually as well as classroom, or are we gonna be able to film her and send it out as she's teaching in the classroom to those kids?
Yeah. Teachers, this has been communicated, we need to communicate it more, but not every kid's gonna come back, and it's gonna be across the board in every single classroom. So teachers need to be prepared again through, and we've talked about this from the spring, through Google Classroom, through Seesaw and all those things. Every lesson is gonna have to be presented, and they're gonna have to plan ahead, presented in such a fashion that students in the classroom can take part in that, but students at home can also take part in that. It's probably gonna be videotape ahead of time, a 10, 15-minute lesson that then is available to everybody, and restructuring how your class works. It's gonna take a lot of planning, but there are gonna be kids that are not gonna come back due to health reasons or whatever. There's also kind of I would say the same information that's on the other sheet is pretty much here. that's more of a user-friendly protocol sheet that somebody could have and just quick reference, you know, how they deal with masks, how they doing with whatever. There will be an opportunity putting this out to get parent feedback. Again, on the committee of 29, 8 of the people on the committee have students attending school in districts. So we did have parental feedback, grandparent feedback, a lot of that, but want to get other feedback, you know, what other, not saying that we're going to be able to fulfill all of them, but what other accommodations may make a parent or a student feel more comfortable coming back. So we'll get that feedback, and this will be an ongoing conversation. It's a moving target, so to speak, that, you know, next week things may change and we take a stronger stance on masks, or we take a stronger stance on something else. But questions?
Are there other schools in the AEA that are going to 2 days in person, 1 day remote, 2 days in person at extra cleaning time?
Based on the ones that I've talked to, no. Not saying that there isn't anybody, but the ones that I've talked to, no. I think most people are coming back.
5 days a week.
Yes, yeah. With the knowledge, again, that not everybody is gonna come back and they're gonna have to find a way to provide opportunities for them.
As of now, all fall sports and activities are a go.
Correct, and as of July 1, you know, weight rooms were open, and ability for out-of-season coaches to work with kids is going on too. I think the Athletic Association and Union had a meeting today. I don't know what the result of that was. You know, I think they're trying to figure out what everything looks like too.
So basically going through the testing phase, and I understand there's a lag between when you get a test and when you get the result. Is there something in that plan that says that person's got to be out of school while they're being tested before they get the results back, or can they just continue to go to school?
All of this is gonna have to be outstanding communication between healthcare providers and all that. So, you know, it's in here, if somebody's got symptoms, expectation is they're out 14 days.
Okay. Regardless if they take it, well, I'm assuming that they would take a test, but if they show a symptom, they're out.
But obviously then if they come through with the test verified that they're negative,
Right, then they
come back in.
Right.
But when I have 14 kids quarantined, and we're gonna test all those that aren't symptomatic, then probably those kids can still come to school. I don't know, that's 14 whole class at home until you clear it.
Again, if you go to a lot of these policies, the key thing in all of them is it has to be documented medical. You know, for a staff member or a student just to say, you know, I think I was around Johnny and I think he had it. I mean,
Would Test Iowa count as a medical professional? A lot of people take that assessment, and they go to a Test Iowa site, and they don't even see the provider perhaps. So would that count as a medical?
there's got to be documentation.
Okay.
So what, I'm a worried parent, I don't want to send my child back to school. Can I not do that? And you're required to teach my child virtually? Or do I have to have a doctor's excuse for that to happen?
That's the world's largest catch-22. We need to work with parents because the issue that is going to happen across the state, this is the scariest thing. Enrollment in districts across the state could drop like a rock. You know, if we have, let's say we've got 10 parents that say they don't feel comfortable, they don't have a doctor's excuse. If we don't educate, then theoretically, I'm going to homeschool. You just lost $60,000, you know.
Well, and I saw something on TV last night, and I didn't really catch the whole thing, but it looked to me like the virtual academies out there looking to pick off as many people as they can.
Correct. You know, you've got to, if you're going to take a hardline stance, you've got to feel comfortable that you're going to potentially lose some people. You know, I envision that we're going to have people, as this goes along, moving in and out. That maybe they don't start, but then they see it goes, you know, everything's going well, you know. I want my kid to come in, so they need to have been taking part in everything.
Get them all there on October 12th.
Yeah. And there's somebody else that they're fine, but then all of a sudden, cousin Eddie tests positive, so then the family is more concerned and says, I wanna go remote for a while.
Glad you're superintendent, not me.
So any questions about this? Because again, I'm requesting board approval for this.
But remote learning is available.
Yes, remote learning, that's what people need to know, is that for health reasons, if you don't feel comfortable, for health reasons, if you can't come back, or if you've got a family member that you're concerned about getting sick, and there's documentation, all that, remote learning's available, but we'll work with other people on remote learning.
So if they're planning to remote learn at the beginning of the school year, they still register for school?
Correct.
And then who do they contact?
When this is all said and done, we will make this form available and get it out and communicate with people.
It'll be on the website.
Who do they contact?
What happens if a teacher tests positive? What happens to the classroom kids or kids that do they have to do online learning? How would that work?
Substitute.
Right, thank you. I volunteer as
We'll
tribute.
sign you right up.
All right.
You know, if we have somebody that, one of these policies that their health doesn't allow them to come back or whatever, we would probably invest in more of a robust system that they could teach remotely, and we would have somebody supervising the class.
Okay. That's one strategy I heard from others.
Yes.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the plan that might change tomorrow?
I thought you said that might change tomorrow.
One more thing before we read it. Masks, can we change that slightly? To say students and staff are encouraged to wear masks, period. When social distancing is not possible, if it's stressed. That's not required, but I think.
Say that again.
I think we as a district should encourage to wear masks anytime.
So
when social distancing isn't possible, we really want to emphasize the mask wearing.
But are we talking K through 12?
Yeah,
Because little kids,
yeah,
man, I
kindergarten's
can't
gonna be
imagine
rough.
how you're gonna make that work.
I'm not
I can't
saying, I'm not
imagine.
saying we're gonna make it work. I think we do, though, need to encourage masks,
So you're saying students and staff are encouraged to wear masks?
period. And then if you want to say something about social distancing, making that even more important, that's fine. If you just want to leave that out, that's fine.
Well, I probably wouldn't agree with that, but I probably wouldn't agree
I
with
think it should be
that.
up to the parents and.
I think it should be
I'm not
mandated.
saying it's required, I'm saying it's encouraged.
No, well, aren't we already saying
It already
that
says
though,
that,
that we're
yeah.
encouraging it, but we can't
think-
require it?
It says
I
it
think
right
he
here.
wants to cross off will not be required, right? Basically.
But it's not gonna be required.
I know. I think
Well,
he just doesn't want
saying
it in
when
there.
social
so-
distancing is not possible, that implies that you're only gonna put the mask on when that
I think we ought to
happens.
leave it the way it is. I like the way it says now. But
Again, I would say that it could be revisited.
like I said, this is a plan that could change tomorrow.
We make
Not could change
I
tomorrow,
think
will
there's a
change
tremendous amount of
tomorrow.
work here, and I
Probably,
don't
that's the way
know
it is.
that.
And like I said, the people who are involved in
Recognize
this.
all the staff and all the work they've done,
Right.
I think they're gonna, it's just the beginning.
And that's the other thing that I guess.
Faculty's got a tremendous amount
Challenge.
to take on here. It's
That would be the other thing I guess I wanted to point out that I forgot here. We've discussed 500 other things. If we had everything, it would be a 200-page document. You know, one other thing that we've talked about and plan on implementing, just to show that point, you know, right now, every student punches in their lunch number. We're gonna change that. Brent, Birsma, printing off barcodes, so we'll scan for lunch. I mean, again, that's something else that we're doing. There's 500 other things that we're doing, but like I said, documenting all of that would be a 200-page thing.
So I move to approve the the school reopening plan and protocol.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Catherine, seconded by Mike to approve the school reopening plan as presented. Please call the roll.
Carver. McConnell.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. All right. Iowa Association of School Boards Legislative Action Priorities.
So has this come to us from the committee that meets and recommends these things? This will be what will be at the school board convention.
They want you to pick out 4 that you think are the most important.
We want to pick, they want us to pick.
Yep. I don't know. I sure didn't reserve rooms.
Probably not. Yeah, I think there's nothing like that.
Does anyone have any hot button priorities that they want to see us approve? What are the ones we currently, or that we did last year?
One I would like to recommend, mental health is gonna be a huge issue with, you know, what we've got going on right now, but mental health is a huge, I think that was one last year that we.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's one. Should be one.
Funding on a timely basis, you have to hammer the legislature with that every year too. I know it kind of gets old. We don't know early on what they're gonna fund, it's really hard to know how to budget. I guess I would support number 18. So we're saying number 7 is one of our priorities, mental health.
Okay, number 7, number 18.
I think teacher recruitment and licensure. I think just now talking about how hard it is to get substitutes and stuff, I think that's important.
Number 15?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know that it's directly addressed in here, but one thing that is kind of an issue. Now that the preschool grant is available for everybody. Right now, if you are 5 by the enrollment date, you have to move forward to kindergarten. You cannot take pre-K unless you pay for it. You know, that old system, I mean, it's not redshirting, that's terrible to say that, but you know, some parents wanted their kids to be older, a little bit older. Right now is a challenge for some people. You know, we have to charge them to be in preschool a second year. They had legislation this year that didn't get passed due to kind of the mess that said if you turn 5 between April 1st, I believe, and the date in September, you could take a second year of preschool and get funding. Which to me, like I said, we have some people in that situation.
Is that under one of these?
It's number 3, I mean, in a roundabout way, you know, it's.
Resolution 3.
Yeah, deals with preschool.
Well, that's 4 of them. If we want to go with number 3, number 7, number 18, and number 15 and number 18. Anybody have any other?
Make a motion for that.
If there's no others, yeah, to entertain a motion on those 4.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the 2021 IASB legislation action priorities as stated, numbers.
Number
3,
three,
7, 15,
8,
18.
15 and 18, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, do we have a second for that?
Second.
Okay, we had a motion by Catherine, seconded by Mike, to approve number 3, 7, 15, and 18 legislative action priorities. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Wilson. Fisher.
Aye. Okay, 2020-21 board goals.
And we can sure wait for another month. If Catherine pointed out that last time we did this, we had a work session first and then adopted the goals and the.
I think that'd be a good
And do we
idea.
have it set when we need to
Yeah.
have those by?
Oh, no, it's,
Okay.
this is
Yeah,
just you
my only
guys.
question is, we don't know what school's gonna look like, so it's hard to set.
Hard
Yeah,
to set goals.
And I'm thinking there's a lot to do next month probably too. School start.
It's some.
should we table this and
Yeah.
do it at a later
I think so, because some of
date in
them
a
need to
work
change.
session? Yeah.
They've been accomplished, so, yeah.
Somebody
We'll
want to make a
probably have-
motion to do that?
Yeah, all
Motion to
right.
table?
So we need a motion to table it?
Let's do.
To a work session prior to our next meeting.
Or a future meeting, how about that?
I just thought we wanted to get it done because this
Okay.
is kind of the time that we say hold, but I don't know.
Okay,
It'd be great, it'd be great for August.
okay.
Yeah. Is that a motion, Steve? Yeah, okay, do we have a second? Okay, moved by Steve, seconded by Catherine to table the board goals till August. Please call the roll.
Denhart. McConnell.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. Okay, P 2020 through 2021, 28E agreement with Iowa Central Community College, Project Early Bird.
Just need to approve the 2080 with Iowa Central College class.
This is just for like college credit classes.
Dual credit.
I had a little trouble understanding a couple of them. I move we approve the agreement with Iowa Central Community College for Project Early Bird.
Second.
Okay, motion by Steve, seconded by Mike to approve the 2080 agreement with Iowa Central. Please call the roll.
Wilson.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Denhart.
Aye.
Carver.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye. All right, superintendent's report.
I handed out a sheet in between meetings. Again, a lot of people would like tours of the building, but would like to be able to give you guys, gals, a tour first, and would also like to give a tour to Grove Green County and the Board of Supervisors. So kind of have the schedule there together, August 3rd, 4th, and 5th. People separated out so we don't have any kind of a quorum. Again, 4:30, if that day doesn't work for you, let me know and, you know, we can maybe shuffle things around, but would like to do that.
Oh, that won't work for me.
Not that week at all.
Well, let me check my calendar for sure, but yeah.
Related to that is I would love to have a open house, you know, let the public walk through the building. I don't know what that looks like. We talked about that a little bit, just trying to seek some advice. You know, I sometimes have a program. I don't know that that's realistic with what's going on now, but I don't know about having a one-page flyer kind of thing, 1 or 2 pages that explains stuff, and then you let people self-guided tours through during, over the course of the day, limit the number.
We can
Don't hit
require
anyone.
mass.
At any one time, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions about what that could look like.
And when? Would it be like a week or two before we start?
My ultimate goal, if we're doing something like this, would be like the 21st and 22nd. Well, 22nd, 23rd, would be that Saturday, Sunday, something like that before,
Do you have a plan for high school orientation for kids to come?
I don't.
We should probably do that, because it's a new school for everybody,
Correct.
so they won't know where they're going. And I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, with the
They're gonna be in school together anyway, so.
does anybody have a,
I think if people wanna come and see the school, that's their decision, it's not like you're forcing them, so I think you should, I think you, they're the taxpayers, so.
I think so too, but I mean, is it a, I don't know how do we limit it to 100 people in the building at any one time? And you're gonna have to stand at the door, we're gonna, stores do count, I mean, I don't like that, but.
How would it look if we weren't worried about COVID? We would probably have a big event in the gymnasium and have speakers and have recognitions of different people. I mean, that's gonna be really challenging. So do we just put together, like you said, some kind of a flyer that explains all those things that people can be handed and maybe have some kind of an information board or section when they walk in that explains some of the things, like the timeline of when the bond was passed and when who the architect was and kind of go through the process and then have, just people that can do self-guided tours, have some kind of a, part of this flyer that we hand out would have a map of the school and they can just walk around and look. But I mean, or do we have an event and just try to spread everybody out? I don't know. Is there enough room? I assume the bleachers will be in the gym by then.
That's my other concern is, they're supposed to be under the 15th.
But we
If you
don't.
plan the thing and then all of a sudden they're not in, then.
I think-
Host interact kids at strategic places that act as hosts and hostesses.
Answer questions.
Follow what I'm saying?
Well, I think you gotta have time to clean the school after we turn it loose.
See,
Everybody walks through.
I don't agree with letting the public come in there and walk through the building. I mean, you guys as teachers and administration are gonna have enough to do without, these guys are worried about going out and cleaning after 100 people walk through the building.
It wouldn't be.
I guess I don't agree with
It's probably 1,000 people.
Well,
I'm not.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm saying.
You're gonna be expecting teachers to be not only teachers, but they're gonna be daycare workers, they're gonna be cleaning. I mean, where do you stop asking them?
Some places have a grand opening after, I mean, is that something? September?
It's just,
I don't know.
I
don't
agree
know
with
the
you, Mike,
answer.
I mean, I get it.
I don't know
get it,
the
but-
answer. I just see so many things that we are overlooking that we are gonna expect our administration, our teachers, our janitors, our bus drivers. Man, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna want a different job by the end of the year, and I'm telling you.
But I'm not saying I disagree with you, I'm just being, looking at the other side of it. This is a huge community undertaking.
I agree totally.
That we should be very proud of. And I think the community should see it so they can brag about it.
What do, when we do the schoolhouse tours, the booties, being in the medical profession, any idea what a pair of, what I'm saying, to put those over your shoes so you're not.
COVID come on, shoot.
No, I'm talking about tracking, I'm talking about.
Like when you go on a.
Well, yeah, like all
tour at
buildings,
Christmas and just-
rubber, one of the biggest thing I look at is they say don't touch your face. So, it's just like when I go into a bathroom anymore, I never used to think about this. When you wash your hands, what do you touch? You touch the sink, you touch the knobs, you walk over to the door, you grab the door handle. How many people that didn't wash their hands, grab the damn door handle?
Yeah, I take the.
What do you want? Yeah. I don't know.
Wastebasket next to the door so you can open it with the.
Paper towel.
You don't, you think about all that stuff now. And you got that many people walking through, grabbing door handles and.
High school has air dryers.
Yeah, I know. And I do agree, the public, it would be great if they could go sit, but I just don't know are you gonna have enough time and resources to do
I don't think those boots really solve dirt situations.
You don't think they help with the dirt?
No, I think it probably
Stays
helps
right
with
there.
keeping bacteria, maybe I still carry them. I don't know. But yeah, you have to have all the doors propped open so people can come in and out, not touch.
What do you think, Sean? What's your opinion?
It is a major undertaking to, like when we did our spring cleaning and then this all broke, the amount of work that went into cleaning the classrooms, not, to turn out not to reopen, was, per classroom was hours, not just 15, 20 minutes. It was, our staff did a nice job of wiping things down and turning desks over and wiping and, so yeah, it would be a major deal. It would take a lot of hours.
You really would have to limit, you can't go in the classroom and walk around and touch all the desks.
Right.
You have a little small circle, you can go in and come right back out.
Keep your hands in your pockets.
But it is one of those.
Look at the doors.
One of those deals where you do have a lot of people that, their taxes are higher because of this facility. They put a lot of faith in, our school system and building what we have out there, and it is their zone. I just think in our current environment, I don't know that it's in our best interest to do an open house. Monitored.
They wouldn't have to go into every classroom. Have a couple, three classroom examples that are open to look at and.
And not let them wander around rooms, let them maybe go in and like you said,
Theoretically, you could have one,
two or
I hate
three
to say it, the classrooms
are all the same.
are all the same, other than the science rooms.
Or the art room.
Yeah, but you could have one room, this is a typical classroom.
And maybe they need to be guided tours and not, you know what I
Limit the
mean?
accessibility during the tour, I think, then it would minimize the amount of re-cleaning that would have to be done after the tour. Yeah,
John,
I think
talked
that's
about
real doable.
almost expectation of, you're gonna use a hand sanitizer when you come in, and maybe you have to wear a mask when you come in, if you don't like that, then.
And then,
Right.
rather than
That's
having an event, have a flyer that explains everything and, let people go on a
Is there still gonna be
limited
one of these right outside
self-guided
the
tour of the
gym?
building and maybe
One of these.
regulate the traffic
Could do it on
patterns and
that.
the flow.
You could have all the stuff that you would say at a,
You can come in and tour, but you have to have a mask, and you have to hand sanitize to tour the building.
I agree with that.
And that, we can require that to help you guys from having to.
Yeah.
At least then we know everybody
Right.
that came in and had clean hands, drinking fountains are closed, the bathrooms are closed, so you don't have that opportunity.
It would be nice to close the bathrooms, there's no need to.
Do we take temperatures too? That's pretty easy to do, zapping with that infrared.
Unless they don't work.
Well, I know that.
And then is
Yeah.
there a chance that there could be some sort of virtual tour online?
Yeah, I think.
Can I hear?
Yeah.
So that's a great idea, and I was just thinking about it, and I actually got a text. We can do a 360 virtual tour as well if you'd like, where I can walk through the building with the camera, and we can put it all on YouTube, and then people can kind of see a finished product.
Yes, perfect.
That's a great idea.
Thank you, Brent.
Is that in addition to,
I
or
think
in
so.
lieu
I think
of?
in addition
so.
to. But I like the idea of
I
masks.
think in
and-
addition too, because there's some people that would like to come and see it, and some people that don't want to come then could see it through the virtual offering, yeah.
And after having the county fair shows streamed, there'll be people in Minneapolis that look
Yeah.
at this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So alumni can look at it.
right.
So that,
Yeah, I think
really
that,
good idea.
yeah,
If we
that
had-
is,
if we had to supply the mask, Coltrane's mask is only 80 cents a mask.
Those are the
I
best
didn't pay
ones,
for
too.
that, I got it off somebody.
Those are the best
But we can.
We
can afford it.
I hope so. You have to have your own, come in and here's a brand new one.
A lot of businesses do that right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll work on that, but when the high school, they had a pretty nice brochure, putting something together that somebody can take. They've got facts and figures about it. I like hand sanitizer and mask.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess my only other question is, do you limit the number at any one time? Is that a?
Probably should, yes. I don't know how many you would say though.
Or just encourage people to go through and get out and
Yeah.
then release new people in as people leave or something, yeah, but, yeah, I think you should limit the load anyway.
That'd be a lot of load.
All right. Anything else for superintendents?
The only other thing that, not really right now, but related to this whole thing, we're gonna have to do some recognitions. We talked about Sam, and I don't know what that looks like, but I'll try to gather some ideas and share with that as well, with some of that.
Tim, can you speak just a moment about enrollment in the Career Academy? Will you have any fannies and seats there when it opens?
We will, but it's a mess because school districts were unable, and we're one of them, to enroll kids for classes at the end of the year because they weren't there. And school districts right now don't know whether they're gonna be in session and what to do with that, so it's a challenge right now. But we've got, we're working with Iowa Central, we've got instructors for all of it, moving forward with it.
Right.
We table the goal setting for superintendent evaluation to a later meeting as well. Same reason that we tabled board goals.
But we're still gonna have the evaluation, just not do the goals, you mean?
Well, that's what we're supposed to do that's what this meeting for the evaluation is.
So you just wanna, you're moving to table superintendent evaluation tonight?
Correct. Because the purpose of it was to set goals for the superintendent. We can't set our own goals. I'm not sure how we can set his goals any easier. It's not that we were
Does
evaluating.
anyone else have thoughts on that, or would you like to, we don't necessarily have to do the goals, we could just have an evaluation, or do you wanna put that off till next meeting then?
I guess my understanding is that it's not evaluation, it's setting goals for the evaluation through the year.
We've never had the superintendent goals, they'll be during a work session, that was why we tabled the other one, is so that as a board, we could decide what our goals were for us at a work session. We don't do, I don't know, I might be wrong.
I'm just saying that the closed session, the purpose of it was to set the superintendent's goals for us then to evaluate through the coming year. It isn't to evaluate whether you've met those. I don't think there's an evaluation process going on otherwise. Is that correct?
That's my understanding of the process is July
I'm
is
saying
goal
if
setting
we're
for the
having trouble
year.
setting our own goals, we're gonna have trouble setting superintendent's goals. I'd like to put it off for a month.
Anybody else have thoughts?
Thanks for that for a second.
So we are gonna do board goals at the next work session.
That would be to throw out the word goals again, that would be my goal, is to do more goals. Yeah.
And then we'll do superintendent evaluation goal setting.
It's still superintendent evaluation, because we do it 3 or 4 times a year. So it's not just a meeting to set goals. This is an ongoing evaluation through the year, that's why we changed it.
Yeah.
Multiples. So, we can move it to next month, but we're still gonna talk about the last 4 months of that, not just goals. I guess it's how I would.
I guess one of the things, that I'd like to discuss in that too is having you set goals for yourself,
And again, that's where I would follow through with, until we've got district goals, it's hard for me to set maybe, because I hope some of those would be related to the district goals.
Yeah. You moved that? Did we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Steve, second by Mike to table the superintendent evaluation session until next meeting. Is that correct, Steve? Okay. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Wilson. Gebhardt.
Aye.
Carver. Fisher.
Aye. All right, we're adjourned then.